Only in Kentucky can a single county claim the geographic center of the entire state and be the birthplace of the Cornbread Mafia. Hi, I'm Michael, and I'm learning a little bit more about Kentucky. One county at a time, all 120 of them. And today, I'm learning about Marion County. To understand Marion County, you have to look at its location right in central Kentucky. A marker at the intersection of Kentucky Route 429 and Coward Lane designates the physical center of the state, sitting just northwest of Lebanon, the county seat. The county covers 347 square miles as the land transitions from the Bluegrass region to the Knobs. The Kentucky General Assembly created Marion County in 1834, carving it from Washington County and naming it for Revolutionary War officer Francis Marion. Elevations range from 475 feet where Hardin's Creek exits the county. Waterways like the Rolling Fork River and Beech Fork drain the land, dictating exactly where early pioneers built their farms and towns. Euro-American settlers arrived in the 1770s when James and Jacob Sandusky built Sandusky Station on Pleasant Run. Then Samuel Cartwright followed suit by establishing Cartwright Station in 1779 on a branch of Beech Fork, while Presbyterians from Virginia settled along Hardin's Creek and established a meeting house by 1789. However, a different migration truly shaped the county's demographics. In 1785, a group of about 60 Catholic families migrated west from Maryland. Men led by Basil Hayden traveled to the claimed lands on Pottinger's Creek, where Father William de Rowan built a log structure in 1792. They called it Holy Cross, and it became the first Catholic church built west of the Allegheny Mountains. Missionary Charles Nerinx constructed the current brick church at Holy Cross in 1823, solidifying a migration that made Marion County the most Catholic county in Kentucky. Trappist monks arrived in 1805 and leased land for a cloister, but they couldn't pay the debt and returned to France a few years later. Father Charles Nerinx had more success when he founded the Sisters of Loretta with Mary Rhodes in April of 1812. The women took their vows in a log cabin, establishing the first order of Catholic nuns founded in the United States. Nerinx also purchased land to establish a school for boys, but a fire destroyed his initial buildings. In 1821, Reverend William Byrne took over the land to found St. Mary's College. Byrne was an Irish immigrant who operated the school inside an abandoned distillery, actually, famously using barrels for desks and kegs for chairs. He served as president and taught classes before transferring the school to French Jesuits in 1833. The state legislature officially chartered their college in 1837, just before Byrne passed away. After the Jesuits left for New York, secular clergy ran the institution until the Civil War forced it to close due to financial distress. The Fathers of the Congregation of the Resurrection took over in 1871, turning it into a seminary that trained priests until it finally closed in 1976. Alumni include Augustus Hill Garland, who served as Attorney General of the United States, and Thomas James Churchill, who served as a Confederate general before becoming governor of Arkansas. The names of the communities inside the county trace back to religion, geography, and local residents. Lebanon became the county seat in 1835 after being established in 1814 by founders who named it for the biblical Lebanon because cedars grew abundantly there. Loretta takes its name from the Sisters of Loretto, while Raywick is a compound of two families who unified when Lloyd Ray and Nancy Wycliffe married in 1811. Bradfordsville was originally known as Centerville until citizens renamed it for Peter Bradford, who operated a gristmill on that same site. St. Mary was the name for the college, and Gravel Switch got its name in 1870 when the railroad directed a track towards a gravel deposit. Nerinx was the name for Father Charles Nerinx when a post office opened there in 1899. Finally, Calvary was named for the local Calvary Cemetery. The Louisville-Nashville Railroad built a branch to Lebanon in 1857, which operated until 1991. The citizens of the county subscribed funds to build the line connecting the county to markets in the north and the south. Unfortunately, this rail access also made the town a target during the Civil War. Union General George Thomas used Lebanon as a base to gather an army before the Mill Springs campaign in 1862. Confederate General John Hunt Morgan raided Lebanon 3 times, culminating in a major attack in July 1863. Morgan initially fought a Union garrison at Tebbs Bend on the Green River, but Colonel Orlando Moore refused to surrender. After losing men against the earthworks, Morgan bypassed the garrison and moved north to attack Lebanon on July 5th. Lieutenant Colonel Charles S. Hanson commanded a force of 400 men defending Lebanon. The war had tragically divided Hanson's family, as his brother Roger Hanson had been a Confederate general killed at the Battle of Stones River. During the Battle of Lebanon, Charles Hanson placed his men inside the railroad depot and refused Morgan's demand to surrender. The fighting lasted for hours until Morgan's brother Thomas, who rode in the Confederate cavalry, was struck by a bullet and killed during a charge. Enraged by his brother's death, Morgan ordered his men to burn the depot and the surrounding buildings, forcing Hanson to surrender before marching the prisoners to Springfield. Today, the Lebanon National Cemetery serves as the resting place for 5,600 veterans. The federal government originally established it in 1862 for Camp Crittenden, which operated a supply depot and hospital base. The government designated the site a national cemetery in 1867, and it now includes Union soldiers killed at the Battle of Perryville. The site expanded in the 1980s when citizens donated land to increase its footprint. In 1931, the Julius Rosenwald Fund helped build the Lebanon School to serve African American students. The community contributed cash and materials to match the grant, allowing the school to operate successfully until the Marion County Schools consolidated in 1961. Decades after the war, Lebanon became a thriving entertainment hub. During segregation in the 1950s, venues operated heavily on the Chitlin circuit and continued bringing musicians to town into the 1960s. Club Cherry, The Plantation, Club 68, and the Golden Horseshoe hosted performances by Jimi Hendrix, James Brown, Ray Charles, Nat King Cole, and Otis Redding. When Little Richard visited Lebanon, he met a resident who inspired him to write the song Tutti Frutti. In the 1980s, the county gained national attention for an agricultural underground that became known as the Cornbread Mafia. This network of farmers organized a massive marijuana operation to stave off debt during the farm crisis, using their botanical knowledge to grow cannabis. Johnny Boone led the group and built a network that spanned 10 states, hiding plants across remote acreage. When the federal government investigated, police raided farms and arrested 70 men from Marion County. Authorities seized 200 tons of marijuana and sent them into prison, where they famously refused to inform on each other. Joe Keith Bickett documented this era in the 2016 book after serving his own prison sentence. Today, the county relies heavily on bourbon and the barrels that hold it. Charles Burks originally petitioned the Washington County Court in 1805 to dam Hardin Creek for a gristmill, which eventually evolved into a distilling operation. William Marcus Burks incorporated the business in 1896, but it changed forever when Bill Samuels purchased the property for $35,000 in 1953. Samuels famously burned his family recipe and developed a new mash bill by baking loaves of bread with different grains. He eliminated rye and chose winter wheat alongside corn and barley, bottling his first batch of Maker's Mark in 1958. His wife, Margie Samuels, collected pewter and liked the Maker's Mark stamped on the metal. She named the whiskey, designed the bottle, and dipped the bottlenecks in wax right in her kitchen. And the first bottle cost just $7. The federal government later designated the distillery a landmark in 1980, making it the first distillery in America recognized while in active production. By 2016, they needed more space and blasted into a limestone hill with dynamite to build a cellar, allowing them to age the whiskey consistently during the winter. In 2023, Rob Samuels led the distillery to achieve certification for its agricultural practices. Lebanon is also home to the Limestone Branch Distillery, which Steve and Paul Beam opened in 2011 to revive the Yellowstone brand. Corporate investments have poured into the area recently, with Diageo building a $130 million distillery in 2020, and now Jefferson Bourbon is currently constructing a $250 million facility for its brand. Lebanon is also home to Kentucky Cooperage. Operating as a subsidiary of Independent Stave Company, workers here process oak logs into bolts before splitting them into staves. The staves season outdoors in the climate until craftsmen use equalizers, planers, and jointers to shape the wood. Workers then raise the barrel by assembling the staves, heating them in a steam tunnel, and bending them into shape with metal hoops. They char the inside of the barrels to the exact specifications requested by distilleries, since lighter char extracts fruit notes while darker char extracts vanilla flavors. After workers test every barrel with water and air pressure, the barrels are shipped out. In addition to bourbon, the modern economy relies on a mix of manufacturing, healthcare, and education. Springview Hospital was founded in 1944 and operates at 75 beds to serve a population of 55,000 across the region. In April 2025, Morris Packaging announced a $61 million facility in Lebanon that promised to bring 276 jobs. The city is also developing the Heartland Parkway to connect the Bluegrass Parkway and the Cumberland Parkway, making Lebanon a major logistics crossroads. The county has produced multiple individuals. J. Proctor Knott was born near Raywick in 1830 and served as a U.S. congressman before becoming the 29th governor of Kentucky. Ollie M. James was born in Marion County in 1871 and served as both a U.S. representative and senator. Vincent Augustine Smith was born in Lebanon and broke barriers by becoming the first black priest from Kentucky. Catholic Bishop Martin John Spalding was born here and faced the Bloody Monday riots in 1855 as Bishop of Louisville before becoming Archbishop of Baltimore. Catholic Bishop John Lancaster Spalding was also born here, eventually becoming the first bishop of Peoria and helping found the Catholic University of America in Washington, D.C. President Theodore Roosevelt even appointed him to an arbitration panel during a coal strike in 1902. It's the hometown of Ernie Brown, who starred in the reality show called The Wild Man. Western fiction author Walter Noble Burns was a native, and Mary Rhodes left a legacy by co-founding the Sisters of Loretta. Every September, the Marion County Chamber of Commerce hosts the Marion County Country Ham Days. The festival started in 1969 and now draws up to 70,000 people to Lebanon. Other communities hold their own gatherings, keeping traditions alive at events like the St. Francis of Assisi Church picnic in Loretta. Today, the county population sits at just a little over 20,000 people. So, that's Marion County. What'd I get wrong this time?